She had been hiding her true self for years, until a neighbor's simple question changed everything. "You've been thinking about this, haven't you?" Maya looked at the clock on her office wall. Another day was almost over at the downtown art therapy clinic where she worked. The small room felt familiar and safe, with its pale yellow walls and carefully arranged art supplies. She had been working here for 6 years now, helping people express their feelings through painting and drawing. "Thank you for today's session, Mrs. Rodriguez," Maya said to the elderly woman who was packing up her watercolors. "Your flower painting is really coming along beautifully." Mrs. Rodriguez smiled warmly. "You make me feel like a real artist, dear. I never thought I could paint anything at 68 years old." Maya watched her patient leave, feeling that familiar mix of satisfaction and something else she couldn't quite name. She helped people discover their creative sides every single day. She watched them go from nervous and hesitant to confident and expressive. But somehow she felt like she was watching life happen from behind a window. After cleaning up the art supplies and organizing the tables, Maya locked her office door and headed home. The walk to her apartment building took 15 minutes through busy streets filled with coffee shops, bookstores, and small galleries. She often stopped to look at the artwork displayed in gallery windows, studying the bold brushstrokes and bright colors that seemed to jump off the canvases. Her own apartment was nothing like those vibrant galleries. When Maya opened her front door, she stepped into a world of beige and white. The walls were cream-colored, the furniture was light brown, and even her curtains were a soft, neutral shade. Everything was clean, organized, and perfectly in its place. Her friends often complimented her on how neat and peaceful her home looked. But sometimes Maya wondered if it was too peaceful, too quiet, too safe. She dropped her work bag by the door and made herself a cup of tea. While waiting for the water to boil, she walked to her bedroom and stopped in front of her dresser. The bottom drawer had a small lock on it. Maya pulled out a tiny key she kept hidden behind a picture frame and opened the drawer carefully. Inside was a different world entirely. Sheets of paper covered in bright swirling colors, sketches of faces full of emotion, paintings of sunsets that looked like they were on fire, half-finished drawings of dancers mid-leap, their bodies full of movement and life. These were Maya's secret creations, artwork she had been making for years but had never shown to anyone. She picked up a drawing of a woman with wild, curly hair and eyes that seemed to sparkle with mischief. Maya had drawn this from her imagination months ago, but she couldn't remember what had inspired it. The woman in the drawing looked fearless, like someone who would try anything once and never worry about what others might think. Maya quickly put the drawing back and locked the drawer. She did this same ritual almost every evening, looking at her hidden artwork for just a few minutes before tucking it away again. She told herself she wasn't ready to share these pieces with anyone. They were too personal, too raw, too much of herself. Back in her kitchen, Maya made her tea and sat at her small dining table. She pulled out a flyer she had been carrying in her purse for 3 weeks now. "Community art classes, discover your creative voice," it said in cheerful blue letters. The classes met twice a week at a studio just 10 minutes from her apartment. Maya had called the number once but hung up before anyone answered. She had walked past the studio several times but never went inside. What was stopping her? She worked with art every day. She encouraged her patients to be brave and try new things. But somehow, when it came to her own artwork, she felt frozen. What if she wasn't as good as she thought? What if people looked at her paintings and saw something too personal, too revealing? Maya folded the flyer and put it back in her purse. Maybe next week she would call. Or maybe the week after that. The next morning, Maya was leaving her apartment when she heard someone moving into the unit next door. Boxes were stacked in the hallway and she could hear music playing inside the apartment. As she locked her door, the neighboring door opened. "Oh, hi there," said a woman with short dark hair and paint-stained fingers. "I'm your new neighbor. Just moved in yesterday." "I'm Maya," she replied, noticing how the woman's eyes seemed to light up when she smiled. "Nice to meet you." "Maya, I'm Sage. I teach art classes around here. So I apologize in advance if you ever hear music or smell paint fumes coming from my place." Maya's heart skipped a little. "You teach art classes? Where do you teach?" "A few different places, but mainly at the community center on Oak Street. I run painting workshops and figure drawing sessions. Do you do any art yourself?" Maya felt her cheeks grow warm. I work in art therapy. So I'm around art, but I don't really... I'm not an artist myself." Sage tilted her head slightly, studying Maya's face. "Everyone's an artist in some way. Some people just haven't figured out their medium yet. Before Maya could respond, Sage glanced at her watch. I should let you get going. You look like you're headed to work. But maybe we can chat more sometime. I'd love to hear about art therapy. I bet you have some amazing stories about helping people discover their creative sides. Maya nodded and hurried down the hallway, her mind spinning. When she reached the sidewalk, she realized she was walking in the wrong direction. She was so distracted thinking about her conversation with Sage that she had to turn around and head back toward the clinic. All day at work, Maya found herself thinking about what Sage had said. Everyone's an artist in some way. Did that include her? She watched her patients work on their projects with fresh eyes. Mrs. Rodriguez was painting another flower, but this time she was using brighter colors and bolder strokes than usual. A teenage boy was sculpting with clay, his hands moving confidently as he shaped a small bird. How does it feel when you're creating something? Maya asked Mrs. Rodriguez during their session. The older woman paused and thought for a moment. Like I'm telling a secret, she said softly. Like I'm sharing something I've been keeping inside for a long time. Maya felt something stir in her chest. She knew exactly what Mrs. Rodriguez meant. Her locked drawer was full of secrets, full of things she had been keeping inside. But unlike her patients, she wasn't sharing those secrets with anyone. She wasn't telling her stories through her art. That evening, Maya walked home slowly, taking a longer route past the community art studio. The lights were on inside, and she could see people at easels, paintbrushes in hand. Through the large windows, she spotted a familiar figure with short, dark hair moving between the students, offering gentle guidance and encouragement. It was Sage. Maya stood on the sidewalk for several minutes watching the class. The students looked relaxed and happy, completely absorbed in their work. Sage moved through the room with easy confidence, clearly in her element. Maya wondered what it would feel like to be in that room, to be one of those students brave enough to put brush to canvas in front of others. As she finally turned to walk home, Maya made a decision. Tomorrow she would ask Sage about those art classes. Maybe it was time to unlock more than just her bedroom drawer. The next morning, Maya stood in front of her bathroom mirror longer than usual. She had barely slept, thinking about Sage and the art studio. Part of her wanted to knock on her neighbor's door right now and ask about the classes, but another part of her felt terrified at the thought. She got dressed in her usual work clothes, a simple blue blouse and dark pants, and grabbed her coffee mug. As she opened her apartment door, she heard movement in the hallway. Sage was there carrying a large canvas and what looked like a box of art supplies. "Good morning, Maya," Sage called out cheerfully. "You're up early today." Maya felt her heart speed up. "Oh, hi, yes, I wanted to ask you something about those art classes you mentioned." Sage set down her canvas and turned to face Maya completely. "Of course. What would you like to know?" "Well, I was wondering. I've been thinking about maybe trying something new. Do you think someone like me could join one of your classes?" "Someone like you?" Sage raised an eyebrow with a small smile. "What do you mean by that?" Maya shifted her weight nervously. "Someone who doesn't really know much about art. Someone who's never painted in front of other people before." Sage's smile grew warmer. "Maya, some of my best students are people who think they can't draw a straight line. And honestly, the most interesting art comes from people who aren't worried about following all the rules." "But what if I'm terrible at it? What if everyone else is so much better?" "Then you'll be terrible at it for now," Sage said with a laugh. "And that's perfectly fine. Art isn't about being perfect. It's about expressing something that's inside you." Maya looked down at her hands, thinking about all those hidden drawings in her locked drawer. "I don't know if I'm ready for that." "Tell you what," Sage said, checking her watch. "There's a coffee shop around the corner called the Daily Grind. Want to grab a cup and talk more about it? I have some time before my morning class." Maya hesitated for only a moment before nodding. "I'd like that." The coffee shop was warm and busy, filled with the smell of fresh coffee and the sound of quiet conversations. Maya and Sage found a small table by the window, where morning sunlight streamed in and made everything feel bright and hopeful. "So tell me about art therapy," Sage said, stirring sugar into her coffee. "It must be amazing to watch people discover they can create something beautiful." Maya's face lit up as she talked about her work. She told Sage about Mrs. Rodriguez and her flower paintings, about the teenage boy who had never spoken in group sessions until he started working with clay, about the young mother who painted her feelings when she couldn't find words for them. It sounds like you're already an artist, Sage said quietly. Just because you're helping other people create doesn't mean you're not creative yourself. I don't think it's the same thing, Maya replied, but her voice wasn't very convincing. Why not? You understand how art can heal people. You know how it feels to see someone express something deep and personal through their work. Don't you think you might have something inside you that wants to come out too? Maya was quiet for a long moment, thinking. She did have something inside her, those drawings and paintings she kept locked away. But sharing them felt impossible. Over the next few weeks, Maya and Sage began meeting for coffee regularly. Sometimes it was in the morning before work, sometimes in the evening after Sage finished teaching. Maya found herself looking forward to these conversations more than she had looked forward to anything in years. Sage told stories about her students, the retired teacher who discovered she loved painting landscapes, the college student who found that sculpture helped him work through anxiety, the group of friends who came together every week just to laugh and create something together. I had this one student, Sage said during one of their coffee meetings, who was convinced she had no artistic ability at all. She would sit in class and just stare at her blank canvas for the first 20 minutes. What happened to her? Maya asked. One day I asked her to close her eyes and just move the paintbrush however felt natural. No thinking, no planning, just feeling. When she opened her eyes, she had created this incredible abstract piece full of emotion and movement. She started crying right there in class. Maya felt something flutter in her chest. Why was she crying? Because she realized she had been hiding this part of herself for so long that she forgot it existed. The art was always there, waiting for her to be brave enough to let it out. Sage looked directly at Maya as she said this, and Maya felt like her neighbor could see straight through her. Speaking of being brave, Sage continued, I have something interesting to tell you about my classes. What's that? Well, I teach regular painting workshops, but I also do figure drawing sessions twice a month. It's a different kind of class, more focused, more intimate. We work with live models to study the human form and capture real emotion and movement. Maya felt her cheeks grow warm. Live models? Yes. It's actually one of the most powerful ways to learn about art. There's something about drawing a real person, someone who's willing to be completely present and vulnerable, that teaches you to see differently. That sounds... Maya searched for the right word. Intense, Sage nodded. It can be, but it's also incredibly freeing. For both the artists and the models, there's this moment when everyone in the room stops thinking about themselves and just focuses on capturing truth and beauty. Maya tried to imagine sitting in a room, drawing a real person. The idea made her nervous, but it also stirred something in her that she couldn't quite identify. Have you ever been a model yourself? Maya asked quietly. A few times, yes. It's actually how I first got interested in figure drawing. A friend asked me to model for her art class in college and I was terrified, but afterward I felt like I understood something new about myself. What did you understand? Sage thought for a moment. That being truly seen, not just looked at but really seen and appreciated for who you are, is one of the most powerful experiences you can have. It changed how I saw myself and how I approached my own art. Maya stirred her coffee, lost in thought. The idea of being seen that completely, that honestly both thrilled and terrified her. My regular model for the figure drawing class had to cancel next month, Sage mentioned casually. I'm looking for someone new. Maya's heart started beating faster. Oh, that must be difficult to find. It is. It takes someone who's comfortable with themselves and willing to be vulnerable. Someone who understands that art is about truth and beauty, not judgment. Sage looked out the window for a moment, then back at Maya. You know, you have incredible bone structure, and there's something in your eyes. A depth that would be amazing to capture in art. Maya felt like she couldn't breathe properly. I could never. I'm not the type of person who what? Sage asked gently. Who does things like that? I'm too ordinary, too careful. Sage reached across the table and touched Maya's hand briefly. Maya, from what I've learned about you these past few weeks, I don't think you're ordinary at all. I think you're someone with a lot of extraordinary things inside, just waiting for the right moment to come out. Maya looked down at her coffee cup, her mind spinning. Everything Sage said felt true, but it also felt impossible. Think about it, Sage said softly. No pressure. But if you ever want to try something that might change how you see yourself, the opportunity is there. As they walked back to their apartment building, Maya felt like her whole world had shifted slightly. The same streets looked different somehow, more full of possibility and potential. That night, she stood in front of her locked drawer for a long time before opening it. She pulled out the drawing of the fearless woman with the sparkling eyes and studied it carefully. For the first time, she wondered what it would feel like to be that woman, even for just a moment. Thursday evening arrived faster than Maya had expected. She spent the entire day at work trying to concentrate on her patients, but her mind kept drifting to what would happen at 7 o'clock. During lunch, she changed her mind about going at least 5 times. By the time she got home, her stomach was full of nervous butterflies. Maya stood in front of her closet for 20 minutes, trying to decide what to wear to observe an art class. She finally chose a simple black sweater and jeans. Nothing too fancy, nothing that would draw attention to herself. As she walked toward Oak Street, she noticed her hands were slightly shaking. The building was older, with brick walls and tall windows that glowed warmly in the evening light. Maya found the second floor and stood outside a door marked Studio B for several minutes, listening to the soft murmur of voices inside. She almost turned around and went home 3 times before finally knocking. Sage opened the door with a welcoming smile. "Maya, I'm so glad you came." Come in, come in." The studio was nothing like Maya had imagined. Instead of feeling intimidating or formal, it felt warm and inviting. Large windows let in the last rays of evening sunlight, and the walls were covered with artwork. Some finished pieces, some works in progress. About 8 people were setting up easels and arranging their drawing supplies. They ranged in age from college students to retirees, and everyone seemed relaxed and friendly. "Everyone, this is Maya," Sage announced to the group. "She's thinking about joining our little community, so she's going to observe tonight." The artist greeted Maya warmly, making space for her to sit where she could see what was happening without being in anyone's way. A woman with silver hair and paint-stained apron smiled at her. "First time watching figure drawing?" she asked kindly. Maya nodded, feeling her cheeks grow warm. "I was nervous my first time too," the woman continued. "But you'll see, it's really quite beautiful. We're all here to learn and support each other." Sage moved to the center of the room, where a simple wooden platform was set up with some draped fabric and soft lighting. "Our model tonight is Alex," she explained. "Alex has been working with us for about 6 months now, and always brings such wonderful energy to our sessions." Maya watched as a young person with short hair and an easy smile stepped onto the platform. Alex wore a simple robe and moved with natural confidence. Maya felt her heart rate increase as she realized what was about to happen. "We'll start with some quick gesture drawings," Sage explained to the class. 5-minute poses to capture movement and energy. "Remember, we're not trying to create perfect drawings. We're trying to understand the human form and capture the essence of what we see." Alex dropped the robe and settled into the first pose, standing with one hand on their hip. Weight shifted to one leg, head turned slightly toward the window. Maya held her breath for a moment, not sure where to look. But as she watched the artist begin to work, she realized something surprising. No one in the room seemed uncomfortable or awkward. The artist looked at Alex with the same focused attention they might give to a beautiful landscape or an interesting building. They were seeing Alex as a subject to study and appreciate, not as something to judge or criticize. Maya found herself studying the way Alex's shoulders curved, how the light from the window created shadows along their back, the way their pose suggested both strength and grace. Without realizing it, she began to see Alex the way an artist would, as a collection of lines, shapes, and lighting that told a story about the human experience. "Time," Sage called softly, and Alex shifted into a new pose. Maya watched the artist work through several quick poses, amazed by how focused and peaceful everyone seemed. She could hear the soft scratch of charcoal on paper, the occasional quiet comment about lighting or proportion, but mostly the room was filled with a comfortable, concentrated silence. "Now we'll move to a longer pose," Sage announced. 20 minutes. Take your time to really observe and capture what you see." Alex settled into a seated position, leaning slightly forward with their arms resting on their knees. The pose was contemplative, almost meditative. Maya found herself drawn to the expression on Alex's face, peaceful but alert, present in the moment. As the artists began their longer drawings, Maya noticed something beautiful happening. Each person was capturing something different about Alex. One artist focused on the play of light and shadow. Another emphasized the graceful lines of Alex's posture. A third was working on the emotional quality of the pose, somehow capturing Alex's inner calm through their drawing technique. Sage moved quietly around the room, offering gentle suggestions and encouragement. When she reached Maya, she knelt down beside her chair. "What do you think?" Sage whispered. Maya was surprised to find that her initial nervousness had faded. "It's not what I expected," she whispered back. "What did you expect?" "I thought it would feel, I don't know, awkward or uncomfortable. But everyone seems so focused on the art itself." Sage smiled. "That's exactly right. When you're really seeing someone, I mean truly seeing them as a subject for art, all the stuff that makes us self-conscious just falls away. It becomes about capturing truth and beauty." Maya looked around the room again. She could see what Sage meant. The artists weren't thinking about their own insecurities or judgments. They were completely absorbed in the challenge of translating what they saw into lines and shapes on paper. "How does it feel for Alex?" Maya asked quietly. "Why don't you ask them during the break?" When Sage called time for a short break, Alex put on their robe and stepped down from the platform. Maya was surprised when they walked over to where she was sitting. "Hi there," Alex said with a friendly smile. "Sage mentioned you might be interested in modeling sometime. Are you an artist?" Maya felt her usual response rising up. The automatic "no, I'm not really an artist," but she stopped herself. "I work in art therapy," she said instead. "And I do some drawing and painting on my own." "That's wonderful. Art therapy must be such meaningful work. How did you get started modeling for art classes?" Maya asked. Alex settled into a chair nearby. "A friend dared me to try it, actually. I was going through a rough time in my life and feeling really disconnected from myself. They thought it might help me feel more comfortable in my own skin." "Did it help?" "More than I ever imagined it would," Alex said with genuine warmth. "There's something powerful about being seen and appreciated just for being yourself. Not for what you do or what you accomplish, but just for existing as you are in that moment." Maya felt something stir in her chest. "Isn't it scary, though, being so visible?" Alex considered this seriously. "The first time, yes. I was terrified. But Sage and the artist here made me feel so safe and respected. And after a while I realized that the fear was mostly about stories I was telling myself. The reality was much more beautiful than my worries." "Place is everyone," Sage called gently. "Ready for our final pose of the evening." As Alex returned to the platform and the artists picked up their drawing materials again, Maya found herself imagining what it would feel like to be in Alex's position. To stand in that warm light, surrounded by people who were focused entirely on seeing and appreciating her for exactly who she was. The final pose was a reclining position, with Alex lying on their side, head propped up on one hand. There was something graceful and timeless about the pose, like a classical sculpture come to life. Maya watched the artist's work, but she also found herself studying Alex's face. There was no tension there, no self-consciousness. Alex looked peaceful, almost meditative. They seemed completely comfortable with being the center of attention in this particular way. As the session came to an end and people began cleaning up their supplies, Sage approached Maya again. "So what did you think?" she asked. "Was it what you expected?" Maya shook her head slowly. "It was much more beautiful than I expected, and much less scary." Sage studied Maya's face carefully. "You've been thinking about this, haven't you?" she said softly with a knowing smile. "Not just about watching, but about trying it yourself." Maya felt caught, like Sage could see right through her careful defenses. "Maybe," she admitted quietly. "I can see it in your eyes," Sage continued gently. "There's something in you that wants to be seen, something that's been hiding for a long time." Maya looked around the studio one more time. The artists were chatting quietly as they packed up. The warm lighting made everything look golden and inviting, and she could still feel the peaceful energy that had filled the room during the drawing session. "What if I'm not brave enough?" Maya whispered. Sage reached out and touched Maya's arm gently. "What if you are braver than you think? What if you've just been waiting for the right moment to find out?" As they walked out of the studio together, Maya felt like something fundamental had shifted inside her. She had seen what it looked like to be truly seen, and it was nothing like what she had feared. It was beautiful, respectful, and somehow deeply healing. Maybe, just maybe, she was ready to stop hiding.